guys, welcome back to another amazing, awesome episode of Push the Point, where I have the VYNNSET RTN winner, Owen. Dude, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Bit tired.
I can tell because
is a thing, but
you seem to be crammed into a toy machine in a shopping centre at the minute.
Oh, do I have background noise?
No, you're fine. No, I'm not. I'm just saying there's a photo.
Oh, sorry. I've got a. Oh, okay. Right, yeah, the picture. Sorry, look, I've got my window open. I thought you could hear like noises or something.
No.
Yeah. Help! I'm stuck.
Well, while you're enjoying that, while you're enjoying that toy ride that you're in, just in context, we don't have a webcam. He's giving me this lovely photo to roll with. Anyway, you have taken VYNNSET, the Iron Maiden, to an RTN, and you won with it. So I want to just break down first and foremost. I've not done a VYNNSET deck tech before, but it's this hero's quite a complex hero to get right, purely because of her hero text has this real cool bit that says at the start of your turn, banish a card from your hand if you do create a rune chant token. So a lot of people put that as you're an IP3 hero, which means you only actually have 3 cards in your hand because every turn you've got to banish a card and put a rune chant in. So how hard is that as a hero ability? And just wanted to sort of break down her hero text a bit as how to buff everything.
So like the common terms that I throw around, and I've heard other people throw around when I'm talking to people about the hero, is we play with 3.5 cards. Because at the beginning of a turn you have to banish no matter what it is. You could have 4 cards in your hand that have blood debt, 4 cards that don't, and you can end up being forced to banish something you can't ever do. Defend with 3 cards, keep 1 card and banish it. I mean, Arsenal it, you have to banish it. So you kind of get you kind of always have to think about, like, yes, I have like a really cool card that maybe I can't play this turn. I want to save it. Maybe it's like a Revel or a Morve or something that you want to use later in the game. But you go, well, if I block with these, then and I only have this 1 card left, like I have to keep something put into my banish zone so that I can then do that. And it just becomes, in a game, like you end up sitting there and having to make decisions on, you have to, in those circumstances, take a bit more damage than other people. And taking damage is something that VYNNSET doesn't always like to do, because the next part of the hero text is you want to be dealing damage to yourself. So even though she has 40 health, when you're playing the hero and you're playing the game, realistically, because probably dealing a couple of points of damage to yourself to enable your cards, your effects, you'll also be taking damage from blood debt. So she kind of does play as if she's got less cards and less HP than a lot of other heroes, but the benefits, I feel like, definitely outweigh the negatives. You get to play cards from banish. You can do it without having to pitch anything. The amount of times you can swing 10 damage swing because you have 4 rune chants and a card, a 6 power card in banish. Just swing that at them, and all of a sudden, you might have blocked out a bunch of damage swinging with a lot. Just means your setup's a bit harder.
Yeah, that's it. So it's almost like, in a way, you're taking damage to actually make that your neck. I'm trying to figure out a way of explaining it, because it's so even trying to just think of it now, it is complex. But like, you're taking damage, and the idea is that yes, you've got less health, you've got less cards, but the value I'm going to present this next turn should just outweigh all of that, and that's the sort of thinking you need to have. Is that fair?
Yeah, like depending on matchup.
Yeah.
Because when you banish something blood debt, like start a turn, play it at any point from there. If you keep it in your banish zone for an extra turn, you're still presenting the same amount of damage. So you can usually go, all right, look, maybe I can't play this turn, maybe I'll play it this turn. I'll keep it in the zone, and maybe I can do a bigger turn next turn. Maybe allow 3 wide or it is.
Yeah.
Like,
so
sort of swing off that.
So the second part of a hero text, whenever you play a shadow non-attack action card, you may pay 1 health. If you do, the next rune chat effect that would deal damage this turn can't be prevented. How often are you? Is it? I know it's very contextual because I think again, if you've checked out the Prism video, this is another hero that has a lot of complexities to it, and there's not just oh you do this, job done. It's contextual to
the power's hidden.
Yeah, you got to fight. It will come handy later. Is that how often you triggering it? Is that, or is that what I explained? Kind of it.
Yeah, like it depends on who you're playing against, what the card acts that you're going to be paying for. Into like when you have Deathly Whales, you want to be yourself every single time.
Yeah.
But you can do that through like Flail or playing a Shadow non-attack. This list plays slightly less Shadow non-attacks. Like one of the big things that people already comment about, like when I've talked to others shown the list, is that there's no Envelop in Darkness whatsoever, which is people usually identify that as, oh my god, this card needs in every set deck. But I don't play it. I'm playing like other things that allow me to do it because I'm trying to build up a bigger turn that I don't need to rely on. So it does happen. Paying life mainly, I would say, into like a few harder to heroes like Bravo, where you want to just force damage through so you can get those triggers rolling to make sure what's happening next turn is actually good. But there are times where you generally just don't want to pay a life. It's handy to have. Paying a life to end the game. Like, the opponent's on 1 life, you play a Shadow non-attack, and then you can swing the Flail if you've got a couple more life as well. Just guarantee a win.
Yeah.
Unless they...
the fact it says May is handy. Otherwise,
if it was, I feel if it was a mandatory, because some of the effects actually hurt, like Widespread Annihilation and Destruction.
Yeah.
Destruction forces you to banish your arsenal, Annihilation, your hand. So because you have to close chain before you can play a non-attack. Done that stuff, it's a headache in terms of when you pay life in turn.
Yeah.
And when you close the chain for something else. And
yeah, absolutely. So it's a good job it's a May. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about some of this. So let's go on to some of the equipment. I'll do the easy one, right? Straight away. Grasp of the Art Knight, right? If you're going to play Runeblade...
It's not actually that easy. A lot of people are divided on if Vexing Quillhand is mainable.
I mean, that is true.
So there is that. It's like Vynsett has access to so much equipment that it's hard to narrow down. Like Bloodied Oval card that people consider for Vynsett. Same name, I guess, Viscerai, but
yeah.
Grasp of the Arcanite is 100%, in my opinion. I like it, but I can't. It's conditional. Some people do like Vexing Quillhand to have that on them too, but 3 health and pitching a blue late game a lot better.
I look at it as the Grasp of the Art Knight smooths out the consistency on certain turns because if you start your turn going, okay, if I keep a blue, I banish a card, get a rune chant, and I could at least pitch this blue, create another rune chant, and that just opens all the doors to Deathly Delight being cost 2, Widespread Ruin costing 2 as well. It just goes, in a pinch, I can always do it, whereas the Vexing Quillhand feels like a big burst turn, which is like, I can do this huge turn from this, but you only get 1. And I think like you were saying, it's all about the deck styles that you create. But in this one, and the way you made this deck, Grasp of the Art Knight just seems to just be the standout winner when it comes to this style.
Yeah. Before looking at the rest of the cards as well, because Grasp to me is one of the best ways to make sure that your end game isn't super terrible, and early game if you're playing it where you just stack a lot, it both, whereas Vexing can only do it once. And it's not free health, it gets blocked with.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, I really do like Grasp. I think it should be played, but Vexing Quillhand's definitely valid if you play that too.
All right, we'll move over to the next piece of equipment. I love it. It's my favourite. If you're playing Runeblade as well, I know it's not. I'm probably going to get told it's not that simple, but Spellbound Creepers, man, such a card. I don't see any reason why, if you're not playing any Runeblade, you should not put this card into your deck, because the lines, man, the lines it opens is just countless, right?
It's phenomenal. Like, I think the reason why Vynsett can do some of those turns that she has is 100% just backed by the fact that you can just do something absurd with creepers in, a morph, a puppetry, a revel, a read the runes. Just something to help extend your turn. Allows for so much flow in the deck rather than just stopping after one with extra cards in hand. Right, I love it.
It's very good. It's very good. And then your weapon of choice. And now I need to just sort of scroll down to the sideboard here to see. I know it is. You do have it as the sideboard as well, the Scepter of Pain. But in your main board, your weapon of choice is the Flail of Agony. Let's break that down a little bit.
So Flail of Agony, it's always in for every matchup. It's worst case scenario. It's a weapon that doesn't cost anything. Hits for 1, makes a rune chant. And best case, it is the card that can kind of tie in some of your turns. Playing Morph's guys into Deathly Wail and then Flail of Agony against a lot of heroes that don't play AB, just guarantee that next turn you're going to get 2 rune chants. And it's a very quick and easy turn to play that can pump out a lot and, trying to set up for your next turn to make your next turn consistent as well.
Yeah. So there we go. Weapon of choice. It's that simple. Is it something that you, again, is it just contextual that you've got to pick out your moments or when you want to use it, or is it something that you want to you tend to want to swing it when you can?
I mean, yeah, like if you have go again enablers or a Deathly Wail or a Deathly Delight, something that says you get a benefit from paying with the life, or you just have a spare action point. You can just swing with it. Depending on your life, you don't want to kill yourself with it.
No, that's true. Does it get a bit ropey later on?
There are times where I've sat there and gone, all right, cool. I can do this. I can sling with Flail and I'll die and lose the game. So I'm not going to do that. So it does come up where you just go, oh, damn, my main weapon can just, can suck to actually have.
Yeah. Is there any other point where I think there's been lots of conversations around Reaping Blade as well as a weapon of choice because it costs 1, swings to 3, doesn't kill you. Have you ever is that, or it just doesn't work out well in this deck?
No, not for Vynsett. The other Nebula Blade gets talked about a bit because it's a cost 2. If you've played non-attack, it gets +3, so it's a 2 for 4. On hit makes a rune chant, so it just kind of flows into making a rune chant for your next turn. There are some people that are die hard, they love Nebula Blade and Vynsett. I don't particularly agree. I think it has its niche into fatigue matchups where you don't want to deal damage to yourself and you want to you can threaten 4 off of a blue and a rune chant, so it's I've played around with it as well, but it just didn't make my list at this time.
No, that's fair. Right, let's talk a little bit about your main board then. Let's go through the Rune Gate cards. I think that's a fair one. I think you've only got 1 copy of the attacks that play from Banish Zone, but doesn't need a Rune Gate. So we'll talk a little bit about Rune Gate. In short, for however many rune chants you have, you can play out a card from the Banish Zone, and you can use the cost of the rune chants is the cost of the card. Now, it's very specific. If you only had 1 rune chant, you can't it doesn't reduce the cost of the card. It is replacing the cost of the card. So Deathly Delight costs 2. You need to have 2 rune chants in order to play this card, or 2 or more rune chants to play this card out of the Banish Zone.
Yeah.
That's what Rune Gate does. So we'll talk about those cards, and then the only card is Bounding Demagon. It doesn't matter. You can play it from the Banish Zone. Right. You pick
as long as you've played a non-attack.
As long as you played a non-attack. Even more awkward. It's about at the same time.
Yeah. So every single attack to be played from the Banish Zone has a condition attached to it, which can suck.
Yeah. So that's why this is why this hero is very hard to get right. There's a lot of hoops to get through to even play your own deck, which is most heroes don't have that issue, which is probably why she's a hero that a lot of people haven't really picked up because your deck requires you to do a lot of work in order for you to play. But let's go through it all. Definitely do Delight. RuneGate costs 2, and when a lot of all these cards as well, I imagine, not all of them, but a lot of them have not an on hit, but a lose life, which is really, really interesting. So when the combat chain closes, gain health equal to the number of heroes who have lost health this turn. So you've picked this one in red. How come?
It's a 2 cost.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 2 cost. It blocks a 3. The text on the card is relevant.
Yeah.
5 power. You know, it's you can play. It's the same as a yellow Phantom Wraith in terms of power, but it just pitches for less. But the text is relevant. The text.
Yeah.
It means that you can go like Amorvian Skies into Deathly Delight into Flail, and then you're essentially, because you've paid a life in that before the combat chain closed.
Yeah.
The Deathly Delight will heal you that one, so it means that your Flail is no longer purely negative.
Yeah, that's very good. And then obviously if they just took 1 point of damage, even from the rune chants that you've been throwing at them as well, I mean,
yeah,
you just that's you gaining a health as well, which is actually crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's it's just a standard sort of RuneGate card. It's 2 cost is the main thing. Like we hunt for 2 costs. That's why I'm playing all red 2 cost RuneGate cards. They're just, it's easy to hit 2.
Yeah.
2 rune chants. You know, banishing, pitching a blue to grasp, and then you can now play your attack. So
easy.
It's doable off of a 2 card hand. Like, they're good.
Very good. And let's talk about something that you've got a full rainbow color of the red, yellows, and blues. The Deathly Whales. These do not cost 2; they cost 3. But when they've got RuneGate, when the combat chain closes, create rune chant tokens equal to the number of heroes who have lost health this turn. So if you lose a health and they lose a health from any means, you're creating that many rune chants, right? But you've got the full rainbow suite. How come?
It's honestly the best card in the deck. It's better than any of the Majestics.
Yeah.
I don't think I would replace, at the very least, with my understanding of how this hero might shape in the future. I don't think there's any reason to ever want to take Deathly Whales out. They mean that if you just do like either an Envelop or a Beseech, paying a life, then Deathly Whales making you 2 rune chants. So your next turn, you start with 2 rune chants. Like it's really good for that. They're also amazing extenders in terms of what you can do in a turn.
Yeah.
If you play a go again attack, paying a life, and you have another card in the banish zone, you close the chain, make the rune chants, and then you can play it out. It's a card that you don't even need to put in the banish zone. It does cost 3, so you can just pitch a whole blue to play it.
Yeah.
And that means you can then get the extra stuff, the extra chance that you might need to play a guy. And same thing, it helps extend the turn. It's very important to have the card so that you can beat Guardian, so you can beat Fatigue decks.
Yeah.
Because you need to string together 2 to 3 RuneGate attacks in a turn to leak damage. The math that I and others have talked about is if you're pushing anywhere upwards of 20 to 25-ish damage, then that's a good turn into Guardian. If you're doing anything less than that, then you can just get Fatigue. They can just block you out.
Right.
But this card enables you to put out these multiple RuneGate turns and these multiple back-to-back turns of consistency, which is sometimes the deck does lack.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Bit of it costing 3 though. Does that make it awkward?
It does. Getting to 3 rune chances is not always easy. Sometimes you have to take a turn off to play a Deathly Whale. When you're trying to play for a big attacking turn, in 2 to 3 turns time, taking a Blood Debt to keep a Deathly Whale there is somewhat worth it. But there's ways to accelerate your rune chants. Like your non-attacks, like Read the Runes, Blood, Fuel Moons, they do make more chants.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Let's we'll go over to we'll talk about the three pillars, obviously, the widespreads.
The widespreads.
Yeah, so we've got widespread ruin, 2 costs coming in for 6, and when this combat chain closes, each hero who has lost a health this turn banishes the top card of their deck. Imagine the hero. The text of that card is not the big thing. Selling point. It's the 2 for 6, right?
2 for 6 is a really important part. The text can be pretty relevant.
Ooh, okay.
Sometimes you will just send, like, you can send a Hail Mary with a widespread rune, and just go, fuck it, I need to see something off the top here. Like, I have a way to make rune chance to play this next attack. Then you can. You can also view it as a way to filter through your deck to try and get to some of your better cards, depending on situation.
Yeah.
Going and, like, you can banish a Funeral Moon, instantly play out the Funeral Moon if you happen to get it. You can banish a Bounding Demagon, and then if you've played your non-attack in your turn, then you have a free Bounding Demagon. There's a variety of cards that it can hit, and you can just sometimes sit there and go, yeah, cool, I'll gamble it. I'll see what happens. You can also banish a good card from the top of your opponent's deck, and sitting there and having a Brute flip over, they've banished a Blood Rush Bellows. You're like, awesome. Like, this is good. It does happen.
Yeah, that's true. You might as well go for it. And if there's
so it's the text can be relevant, but compared to planning out a turn, it's not as good as the others.
No, of course. And then you got the widespread destruction. When the combat check closes, each hero has lost a health. This turn banishes a card from their arsenal. Ooh.
Yes. CNC at home.
Yeah.
we can't play CNC because you can't play it from the banish zone. That's the sucky part.
Yeah.
But being able to get rid of someone's banish, if they block with Crown of Providence earlier on another destruction, and then you go, all right, cool, widespread destruction. Some heroes, they just have to take the arsenal disruption. It has to go.
Yeah.
Against like Fire, who very rarely are going to AB or block out. It'll come in at a 9, right? It has to be 3 rune chance and the 6 if you're playing it from your banish.
Yeah. Very
rare that they're going to actually do that. And no matter what card you get from a Fire, it's always going to be good.
Yeah.
If you get rid of a chain starter or a 3 attack card, then sweet, awesome. That's 3 less damage I have to take.
Just the value.
It does that because you can banish your card. Putting something like any of your other RuneGate cards into your banish zone, you can then go, all right, at some point, if I get a destruction, I can line things up. I can banish that and extend my turn, putting something like a Demagon, or one of those 2 costs or a 3 costs, and then doing all your spellbound tricks. It can enable cool stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Like, you can just see the crazy lines that can be opened, but it's contextual. Everyone, you got to just sort of make your turn as big as you can while you're playing out as well. That's going to be the constant theme that we're going to be running through here. Is that fair?
100%. And it does suck that I've talked, people ask me questions before, like in the Purple Discord, and they'll go, hey, how does this generally work, or what should I do? And I'm like, look, I'm really sorry, but the context of what's actually happening in the game, it does kind of change.
Yeah.
In terms of what cards you have in your hand, in your arsenal, what your opponent has can just kind of just massively dictate how I want to play a turn.
Yeah.
I could play a widespread destruction with a shadow card, choose not to pay a life, because if it's a non-attack in my arsenal that I want to play, I have to close the chain, banish my card before I can even play it. Because most people do shortcutting, but play a non-attack, you have to close the chain.
Yeah.
If I do go to do that, I've done it by accident where I've gone to play that card and gone, oh wait, no, it's gone. Like, I screwed up. I've lost this card.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So sequencing is key, everyone. Sequencing is key. And we'll talk about the last one, Widespread Annihilation, the strongest one, the one that everyone kind of fears the most. So the reason why is when the commentary closes, each hero has lost a health. This turn banishes a card from their hand. Cost 4. It's a blue 3. It's super strong. It's super strong. Big cost though, being 4, right?
Yeah, it's the hardest RuneGate card to get out, obviously. But when it does come out, the normal response is my opponent's either gonna just immediately pitch to stop all the arcane, block all the physical, and then go, all right, sweet. Like, I'm not rather block the damage than lose a card against aggro decks. Sometimes they'll sit there and go, all right, I'll just lose a card.
Right.
So you're either forcing your opponent to have no cards, or your opponent's going to be taking damage. Like, I don't think there's no other alternatives, I feel, against an Annihilation. Like, it's my safe space. Having Annihilation sitting there, I know that I'm going to have another turn after this to kind of maybe do something else. Like, it's good, and it can set up, again, really nasty turns.
Yeah.
If I can sequence it properly, if I go, I have all these things, I need to do A, then B, then C, and now I can all of a sudden have an extra card in here and fling different spells around and make things, generate action points, and all of a sudden, you're presenting a 30 to 40 damage turn.
I love it.
Like, it's a card that, like, when you play it, you creepers in a Morvrian Skies after it.
Yeah.
And then you pitch a blue, play the Morv Sky, like, to creepers in the Morv Skies.
Yeah.
Use the 2 remaining float to play one of those 2 Rune Gates from hand.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's probably going to hit because they've just dumped their hand to stop the Annihilation.
Yeah.
And now you can play the other card from your banish zone. So it just kind of, there's all these little tricks to mind games on getting things to happen. Like, nothing's consistent, which is what the hard part of this deck is.
No, that's what I was. The ceiling's high, but man,
100%. Like, I can do damage equal to. I can do damage with this deck that I did when I was playing Briar. Like, maybe not as obscene. Like, this deck doesn't have a Channel Mount Heroic Force of Nature turn, but you can throw out massive damage turns still, like, equal to your other Rune Blades.
Yeah.
It's just that, you have to get really creative to do it, and you have to kind of understand how all those little windows might interact and work with each other. So sequencing a little bit of luck every now and again. And then, just hoping for the best is kind of how I look at some of those types of cards. Like, I just kind of go, sweet, awesome.
All right, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
And then the easy one, Bantam Wraith, 2 for 6, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cool. Right. We'll finish off with the Bounding Demagon. You put this in. How come?
Mm-hmm. It's a 0 cost that it's at the worst. Like, if you, let's say you do the turn where you you banish a Deathly Whale the turn before, you can't play it.
Yeah.
And it comes to your next turn, you then have a Shadow Puppetry.
Yeah.
So you banish the Bounding Demagon or another non-attack. It doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's like a Morv or a Shadow Puppetry.
Yeah.
You can then go again extender into the Deathly Whale that you now have your Rune Chance for, and then just finish it off with a Bounding Demagon. It's also a card that, into Dromai, it's really good. Like, it's a nice, quick, even you go Morv Skies, Bounding Demagon, target a Mirror Guy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you just got Rune Chance. Now I can play my Rune Gate card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. Like,
no, that's really cool. Love
it has that sort of synergy. You can Destruction, Annihilation, and Widespread Ruin, they're all really happy to banish a Bounding Demagon. And just given the fact that all you need to do is play a non-attack, you don't need to have a Rune Chance for it. Just means that you can genuinely just get this card out a bit more consistently. I enjoy it. Like, it's not in everyone's deck list. I understand why. Some people tend to put maybe another RuneGate card that I don't have in my list in here. Like, I don't have Banshees, I don't have Skitterers.
Yeah.
Some people sometimes include Swarming Gloomveils in that card slot. There's a few things that can fit in it, but I just found that I just like Bounding Demagon. It's a cool card.
Yeah, it looks cool as well.
It's cool. It's easy to play compared to everything else in the deck. So
there you go. Right, so that is your main board attacks. Let's go through a little bit of the extenders, the things that push these attacks to go further. The one that everyone just seems to auto windmill slam into the deck, Shadow Puppetry.
I windmill slap that bitch onto the board too. Like, it is really good card. Like, you pay life, you get to do your effects. Gives +1, go again, and then you can banish a card. So you go Puppetry into a Deathly Whale. People generally want to block that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it hits. You look at the top card. Sweet, it's a Funeral Moon. I'll banish it. Play that.
Yeah.
But it's just Shadow. Shadow cards are good.
Yeah.
Gives go again. It's good.
Yeah, very
Zero
good.
Cost.
If you're going to play Vynsett, you grab this card like straight away.
Yeah, the prices are going up. Buy it now.
Oh, are they? Okay, interesting.
No.
No. Oh, so the we never know after this video. Right, movie and skies. You have got the reds and the blues, and in the sideboard you've got the yellows. So there is a rainbow suite there. Again, pretty straightforward. Gives you next Rune Blade attack. Attack action card, go again. And if this hits, gives an on hit to your attacks. Blues make 1, yellows make 2, reds make 3. I mean, is there more? Yeah.
The card itself is self-explanatory in terms of what it can do for the deck. Gives you go again, can make your rune chants.
Yeah.
But the inclusion of 9 is, I've had people tell me that I'm a bit stupid for doing so.
Right.
My main reason for putting all 9 in is I found in the matchups where I wanted to have a really wide turn, I didn't have the ability to. I was playing blue Shadow of Ursas, or Shadow of Ursa, instead of blue Morvrian Skies. And the amount of times I sat there and I went, if this was a blue Morv instead of this Shadow of Ursa, I can actually play out multiple cards. Like, I needed another non-attack for a Revel and Runeblood, or I just needed to have multiple action points. I needed to attack multiple times to do something really cool. So the night before the event, I took out the Shadow Versus, put the blue Morvs in, told people I'm doing it, got called an idiot, but it paid off. We're happy.
Oh, was it really that big of an impact in the games?
To me, it was. Yeah, genuinely, I was able to sit there and go, "This made a difference for me."
Yeah.
I understand 100% why people don't want to play all of them. The main reason people say they're magnetic. The amount of times I've played Viscerai and you go, "Oh, sweet, I've got 3 Morph Skies in my hand. I'm not being able to. I can't really do much with this." It can happen in VYNNSET as well, where you draw 3 Morph Skies and go, "This sucks." They block for 2. You don't want to have multiple in a hand unless you've got some massive shenanigan that's about to happen. Some people, I think people I was talking to and building lists alongside with, were playing just reds and yellows, because their on hits matter a lot more than the blue. The blue making 1 rune gen doesn't do anything for the deck really, unless it's coming off of a Deathly Whale. And very rarely Morph Skies, people are going to let them hit. People see a Morph Skies, they're going to...
Yeah, they're going to block.
So you have to... Yeah. More so, like, I feel like in this deck especially, because if you got a Morph Skies into any Rune Gate attack, sitting there with a Rune Gate attack that you can play from those rune chants, you block 6 to prevent 8 or 9. Like, the math makes sense to block it. So, but I love them. I love playing 9. I might take 1 or 2 out. I think the consensus amongst people that that are playing the hero is that maybe 8 might be the go, rather than 9, just to lower your odds of actually seeing multiple in a hand, but seeing enough that it's packed for you.
No, that's fair. No, I think that's a fair shout. It does have this feel of from the old school Viscerai days, the Rivian Skies Viscerai days, and back in when I used to have that, I had the blues, the yellows, the reds, and then you get the blue lead the charges in there.
Lead the charge, yeah, exactly. And you're playing the shrill, so everything was just working well.
Yeah, and in this instance, toy around with it, everyone, but put it in. Here's the deck list. Try it out, and then again, I think what you're saying is that you could.
It's definitely about. Make the decision.
Yeah,
make the decision for yourself if you actually do want to play all 9. I personally do when I'm playing into more fatiguey lists, because the game's going to go for a long time if I'm not able to set up my ideal scenario.
That's fair.
And it's getting down to those last 20 cards. You want to still have pitching a blue Morv or a yellow Morv and seeing it late game because you had an extra Morvrian Skies that you pitch away or something like that.
Got ya.
Is handy. I won my winning game was because of a blue Morvrian Skies. It was a card that I pitched away early.
Yeah.
And I got it, which meant I could go Morvrian Skies, pitch to play a Deathly Whale, Revel.
Yeah.
And then Widespread Destruction from Banish, presenting perfect lethal to win the game. Like, it was, if I didn't have the blue Morph Skies, I lose and I don't get the 4 points.
There you go. Right.
And the gold foil, but the 4 points is cooler.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 points is what we're here for. So we was weird card, Funeral Moon. Hard to. I think I'm going to put this in if there's like a train of thought. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. The rune chant generating cards sort of thing, where you've got Runeblood incantations, read the runes. They're there to sort of keep your economy going whenever you're attacking, so you can just sort of get ready for next turn. It's Funeral Moon in that sort of bank, but it's got some trickery with it because it can be played as an instant if someone's taken health. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, it pretty much like that card can, if you just present a Deathly Wail plus rune chance to someone, you hold a Funeral Moon. If they take 1 arcane, you instant the Funeral Moon, pay a life with it because it's a shadow action.
Yeah.
And now your Deathly Wail is making you 2 rune chants plus the 1 from the Funeral Moon.
Oh.
And it blocks 3 compared to others.
Yeah.
Other rune chant generators, which can actually matter. Like it's a card that you can just block with. And you can take damage on your opponent. Like your opponent attacks you, you take damage from your opponent.
Yeah.
If you need 1 more rune chant on your turn to play your attack that you want to banish, you can then play the Funeral Moon as an instant on your opponent's turn, get that extra rune chant, and then you can keep applying pressure. Sometimes it has those small use cases that are just really neat. And
what's hard is I'm finding that there's so many use cases that you can find with this, but we're not talking about what cards are the right cards to block with. Is that a card that you feel like? Sometimes I can imagine some people go, "Oh, my lines are huge, but what do I need to keep?" Is it very, again, a contextual thing of, can this be pushed out in the biggest way possible in this moment? Is this, or do you sometimes like to keep this card, or do you often block with it? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, there are times where I go, I don't want to play this yet. I know that at the end of this turn, if I play it, I can get this many rune chants, and I know that the follow-up turn, I can guarantee I'll play an attack. That you can put it in Arsenal, get hit by a CNC in response to the CNC trigger, play the Funeral Moon from Arsenal because you've now taken damage and the triggered effect hasn't resolved. So you can do things like that to bait someone into CNCing, leave no witnessing, thinking they're getting because there's a trigger window between
the resolution phase,
the effects resolving. Yeah.
All right, I'll play this.
So you can do stuff like that, and it makes it can just help smooth things out. I was arguing between this and Envelop in Darkness. There's no Envelop in Darkness in the list.
Yeah.
And that is a very controversial card to leave out. Most people, I think, played it in Rainbow, and I don't have it in
an Envelop in
red or blue.
Envelop in Darkness is the one that gets plus attack and makes a rune chant cost 1, right?
Yeah, so it's cost 1.
Yeah.
You create a rune chant.
Yeah.
The next rune gate card you play this turn gets plus 1, 2, or 3, depending on pitch.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a shadow non-attack, so you can do that, pay a life, do stuff.
Yeah.
It is a really good card, and I think if you want to include it.
Do it.
But
there's no wrong answers.
It's not wrong to play the card. I just didn't think I needed it because the identity of this deck is to stack lots of rune chants.
Yeah.
And then attack really wide because how else are you going to beat Bravo and Victor, who can stop your mid-damage turns, and then they can just hit you with free damage and make Bravo can crippling crush dominate you, and you can't necessarily have answers to it all the time. And
I hear you.
So it's able to play into that. It's where you can start your turn, banish Funeral Moon, play Funeral Moon, pass turn.
Yeah, easy as that. Read the runes, 2 copies, makes 3 rune chants. Nothing more to say there, really. And I know there is much more to say because of creepers and everything else. There's a lot of things that we can go, but so in short, it's just a create 3 rune chant stuff. You can use creepers or you'll go again or whatever. It's your economy. But in short, the card's very simple. It just makes 3 rune chants. You've got to make it work with creepers and everything else.
A lot of things to think about when playing it. The lines happen after playing the deck and playing with the card a lot. I do have 3 in the list. There's 1 in the sideboard. It's just I'm always playing 2 minimum, depending. It's just a really good card. Like you can just play it and do nothing, and you've made Rune Chance, and life's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can creep it. So there's I don't know. I love the card. It was originally not in for the deck that gave me inspiration for this list, but I put it in because I love the card. I think it's really good.
And it's turned around and made a massive impact in the games, or
yeah, I definitely think it has.
Yeah, awesome. So, Runeblood Incantation. I think this one's actually been very much a big staple card for Vynsett, just because of that nice like ever since I've saw Vynsett, this card has just been a big player for it because that very nice slow drip of Rune Chance coming in at the right time when you need it. Is that fair?
Yeah, it just means that you can block with an extra card is the main thing that we say. Because if it means you don't have to hold a blue to pitch to grasp to then make your second Rune Chant. Yeah. So it's just very versatile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does a bunch, makes a Rune Chant, which is cool.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And then you've included the Sonata Galaxia, 2 copies of this, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm going to be like this woman in the artwork. My head's going to explode. With the opening possibilities of what this may do for Vynsett specifically. But when you're playing Sonata Galaxia, what are we tutoring specifically? Or is that contextual?
Again, contextual.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I actually decided to play Vynsett at my event, because I was sitting there going, I don't feel like this deck can consistently beat Guardian, and if I play against a Guardian, I don't want to sit there for 40 minutes, lose, and feel bad because I just got, I couldn't do much. But Galaxia, you can play it into everything on this list, because at the very least you can get a Runeblood Incantation out, which means you don't have to, that's already just kind of pretty good. But then it's tutorable for Blessing of Occult, which is, I think it's still not Blessing of Occult's not a good card.
Right.
But when it can be tutored through Galaxia, it's now a good card.
Yeah.
So it means that you can stack Rune Chants faster. It means that you can just get those cards that you don't want to pitch to play out of your deck. And just helps with that generation and helps with setting up for that big 30 to 40 damage turn to help kill a Guardian. Yeah. And into aggro, gets out your incantations faster. Like, it has use cases in the context,
but only
very least.
But only 2 copies.
Only 2 copies, because with the two Galaxias, the 3 incantations, you have a pretty decent chance to see incantation through Galaxia or destroying it.
Yeah.
Against most heroes early in the game.
Yeah.
And you have your 2 copies to try and get out a blessing. Like, you want to try and get out a Blessing of Occult. Looming Doom is also in the deck list in the sideboard.
Yeah.
You can fetch that with Sonata Galaxia as well. It gives a bit more of a headache in terms of trying to figure out what to use it for. So it has you can play one early game to start that beginning, and then play one late game to fetch a Looming Doom if you need Looming to kill your opponent.
Yeah.
But having a 3rd copy just makes things a bit too much.
Fair enough. And then we've got the Chains of Mephitis. I think, have I got that right? Have I said the name right? Chains of, or was it Mephitis? Whatever. Anyway, this card, I saw it. I was like, love it, right? Because we all didn't know really what to do with it when it first came out, in my opinion. But
yeah, its only use case when it came out was simply 3 of a kind in Lexi. It stopped her from loading those arrows she drew, or pitching those arrows to do anything. So that's originally that was its only use case.
Yeah. But now
it's all of a sudden brutes running around everywhere. So if they play a Blood Rush Bellows, what they usually want to do is have 1 card to play, 1 card to pitch from what they got, or maybe they want both cards to pitch.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they can't do that. They can't pitch those cards that they drew. which does screw with some of their math.
Yeah.
Against brutes as well, a lot of the time when they're playing stuff like Wild Ride, Pulping,
Oh.
Bare Fangs, what it does is they play the card, they go to draw a card, but instead they have to banish it, and if they have no cards in hand, they can't discard to get the buff, or they don't have an extra card to discard, so all of a sudden that stuff's hampered by it. Screws up Victor's draw.
Yeah.
Screws up Kasai, because Kasai now no longer draws cards to satisfy her hero ability.
And then most of the time, they're attack reactions, which should just do nothing, right?
Yeah, and if she can play them, but you're sitting there looking at them, knowing what she can do.
Yes.
So it's a win-win in a sense. Like if they draw a card, you go, all right, well I now know what you have, and you can't pitch it, and you can't swing for free. So there's a few other heroes that do get a little bit screwed over by it. It can screw with Crown of Providence draws. It can screw with Sink Below draws.
That's
A lot of little things that happen in a lot of games that you don't realize get affected by Chains of Mephitis. And when you're playtesting it, I have blocked with my Crown of Providence, drawn a card, gone, I have to banish this, and it's something I can't play.
yes. So
you have to be careful yourself, but it's a really cool card. I really like that I put it in.
I'm really happy that you have as well, because I've been that there's some like doors that can be open with this card, and I think now it's just starting to become that. Oh, hang on. This actually funks with me way too much than I think. Like, you know what I mean? And it's sometimes it can't. Like, it's again the ceiling on the floor. It's just like it's contextual.
Extra brain noise, extra something to think about every now and again.
Yeah.
But the easy way to understand the card is that it can stop your opponent from doing their crazy stuff or ruining their consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a massive.
It makes people play like.
Yeah, I think it makes everyone, like you're saying, it makes everyone play really weird. We've got a really big inventory as well, full of.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm one of those people that doesn't put every single card and then takes them out. I take all these and put these cards in.
You're the same man as I. Both sides, I feel that are fine. So here we go.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, let's sort of dig through it in different ways. So we've got Beseech the Demigod. That's in your sideboard. So basically, it's choose an attack action card in your banish zone. It gets +3 into the end of the turn. It's just a pump card, I take it. What is this doing?
0 cost Shadow non-attack action. Buff something. It interacts with Bounding Demigod.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's cool. Has go again. You can creep as it and gives you an action point. It's one of the more basic cards in the list. It's just good. Like you just play it and target something, and it makes it stronger. And you can pay a life.
Who are you putting it in for?
I believe in this it comes in for most except for when I'm playing super defensive. Into your I don't think it KO Azalea, Dash IO, Phi, maybe a few others. I don't put it in because I choose to put the yellow morphs in because they don't want to block. They don't have massive amounts of armor to block.
Sure.
A morphs guys with.
So you need to extend. If you're being really aggressive, make big extending turns because they're just not going to block you. And then this one is
more so if they're wanting to block me out a little bit more and they can still do more sort of, they're still more aggressive than we are.
Yeah.
It can just help go over. Like Levia, I prefer this over the yellow morphs because all of a sudden they can't put a Carrion Husk. They have to put a Carrion Husk plus something in front of an attack to stop the damage.
Yeah.
And that can be relevant.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. We talked about the Blessing of a Cult, but they're in your sideboards. What are they coming in for?
Yep. Mainly, I think those ones only come in for like Guardian and any other deck that can potentially fatigue you.
Yeah.
And where you need to set up a big pile of rune chants before attacking.
Yeah.
I played against in my RTN. I played against 3 games against Guardian, 1 game against Arachne, and so I played them all in those games.
Yeah.
And just going, it's just going to make me lots of chance.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. And then Read the Runes, that 1 copy. Is that in the same sort
That 1
of
extra copy of Read the Runes, similar thing, yeah. Comes in against the decks that we want to have more rune chants for.
Cool. Reduce the Rune Chant, that really cool card. Works really well with VYNNSET.
Yeah.
What's this coming in for?
Coming in for against aggro decks that are generally going to do a lot more damage and we want to block. Anyone that can dominate, anyone that can, warriors with all their combat tricks. We want to have something that can help against that too.
All right, awesome. Same with the Sigil of Suffering.
Yeah, pretty much. I think there's like 1 or 2 matchups where I might not put the sigils in, where I'll just put the reducers in.
Yeah.
But that's very rare. It's usually play 6 D-Reacts against aggro decks, and being able to kill someone with a Sigil of Suffering is pretty handy. I killed a 5 with it. It was fun.
There you go. So again, toy around with it, everyone. Just try and find that balance right, and then there's when it comes to VYNNSET, a lot of the time there is no smooth, straight answer. It's a good idea to just put these in, but if you feel like maybe you want to cut 1 copy off down somewhere, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, there's edits that I've made to this and other people have made to it to try and optimize and add to how people want to play the deck.
Yeah.
The deck's always going to be changing. It's why I really like talking about the hero, because I want more people to play the hero so other people can add their thoughts to what actually can go in and how this hero can play.
Yeah.
Right now, if like there's a lot of people that do play the hero, but I feel like none of the higher end players are playing it, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Like, she's not super good, but all we need is some slightly better players than me at least, to look at the hero, figure out some extra things.
Hey, you won the RTN, bro.
Races.
You won the
Yeah,
RTN.
we did.
Yeah, we did. Reveling Runeblood. Yeah. Crazy card, right? It's got extreme
originally,
power.
I originally hated this in VYNNSET. Originally, I don't think anyone really we put it in. The people started off with it in the beginning of their decks, then they changed it to not being in their decks, going, we want more consistency, and Revel in Runeblood screws with Deathly Wail being able to carry over rune. But turns out being able to get 4 rune chants getting out an attack is pretty good. It won me the finals game at the RTN. Amazing. It's just has so many different use cases where it actually can just turn your turn, change your turn from being very average if you without the card to, oh my gosh, this turn is about to be ridiculous because I have a Revel in Runeblood.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's usually
my eyes light up, man. I'm like, oh my god, it's great. I'm the guy in the card. It's fucking, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, who's this coming in for
though? Anytime we're being the super aggro deck, so into your illusionists.
Yeah.
There's a few others where you kind of want to be the aggressor.
Yeah.
Because being able to just the cards are 0 for 4 in a sense. Go again so you can creepers it and get an action point, do all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And against fatigue to also have big blowout turns to try and leak damage against Guardian.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So we talked a bit about Looming Doom. Again, it's a card that you'll just you'll potentially Galaxia this in, or sometimes there's cases where you could just play this out, depending on could be that Revel turn. Who knows? Who's this coming in against?
Fatigue, or someone where is either coming against a Fatigue as a playable card, or coming in against those heroes where I want to play more defensive because it's a blue block 3.
Yeah.
Where you sometimes want to have a blue block 3.
Yeah. No, that seems easy enough. And then you got Oblivion.
Oblivion. This card. Cool card. Yeah, I was off the card for a while, brought it back in because I found this version of the deck was able to play it really easily.
Yeah.
I got it off in a lot of matchups, a lot of those fatiguey matchups. So it comes in primarily for that, or if you're playing super aggro. I was able to get off a couple of times and just have Nazareth sitting out there.
Yeah.
It's the conditions for the card can be a bit annoying because it says play this only if you control exactly 6 rune chants.
Yeah.
But when you understand that each individual rune chant has a window before they get destroyed,
Yeah.
if you have a pile of 10 rune chants as the 6th one's about to destroy, you go Oblivion, Nazareth's out, and then it's actually a lot easier.
I was just going to say that, like, if you actually had like 7 rune chants, you go, okay, well, I'll play my attack. First rune chant deals damage, and then before that second one starts to does it, I'll play this out because I have now exactly rune chants. They're not popped on the board yet. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that work? It does work. That's
100% works.
Yeah.
The main way that I play it is going like stacking up early, seeing the card, maybe putting it in arsenal, keeping it in hand, depending on what else I've got, and then when I do my attacking turn, play it out. My opponent was a Bravo in the final, and he played Titan's Fist into me.
Yeah.
Which meant that all of a sudden he couldn't consistently kill Nazareth with 6 health. He didn't have Anathos to kill it.
No.
So I had Nazareth out for 2-ish turns.
Yeah.
Which swung tempo to lead to me winning the game because he had to throw a CNC at it to kill it.
Oh.
And I was like, sweet, I'm taking that. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So that's all your cards in terms of the deck. That's what you should pick that up and have a run around with it. So you got quite a lot of cards in the equipment cards in the sideboard as well. Contextual, put on different matchups. So let's just do the chess pieces. Carrion Husk and Spring Tunic. When are you putting in? When is it Carrion Husk time?
Carrion Husk comes in for Azalea. It comes in for Dash.io.
Okay.
Currently, maybe KO. Decks that do a lot of damage can hit with one really big attack that you need to block out. And they're also decks that can't reliably fatigue. You don't play you can't play this against someone that can fatigue you because you'll eventually just tick down and die. We're dealing too much damage. Tunic is pretty much everyone else. This list also does have Dyadic Carapace.
Oh, yeah. It does as well. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
My bad.
Carapace is... No, you're right. Carapace is for Wizard.
Yeah.
Is Kano.
Yeah.
Also, potentially, you can play it into Ninjas, but just the extra block. The game might not go long enough where Tunic is relevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
The chess pieces are, I feel like, are one of the more standard things to talk about in this deck. There's not many extra use cases. It's Tunic if you don't need to block with your chest. If you need to block out, Carrion Husk. If you want to do a little bit of blocking and you don't need the extra resource from Tunic or Wizard, Carapace.
Yeah, there you go. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And then you've gone for the Crown of Providence or the Ebenfold. So I took it. I mean, both of them are got really good use cases, but we'll start with the Ebenfold. My head tells me Wizard because of Spell Void 2.
Wizard, yep.
Yeah, but the instant, I mean, there's stuff there.
Yeah, there is. Originally, it was a card that was just in there for Spell Void 2.
Yeah.
But when we're just talking about what we can actually do with the deck and we go, well, we have these equipments, can they be used for anything else? Looked at Ebenfold and gone, wait a second, we can actually play Ebenfold when we're trying to be super aggressive.
Yeah.
So into your Illusionists, I think, are the 2 matchups where you can play this. And you can just now make a very big, wide swinging turn with just because of Ebenfold. Pay a resource, put an extra Rune Gate into Banish.
Yeah.
Draw a card. And now your turn's gone from only 1 attack to 2 attacks on demand. If you see a Revel, you can do something like that.
Oh.
It's pretty cool, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Being able to use a card that originally was just, this is the Kano tax, is now usable in other circumstances.
Absolutely. And then the Crown of Providence, though, and is that just, when is that getting thrown in?
Pretty much, not Wizard, not Illusionists, everyone else.
Yeah, fair enough.
Block 2, filter Arsenal, anti-CNC.
Cool. Is the Balance of Justice, the new card from Heavy Hitters, not been a temptation for you?
It has. I've thought about it. Thought about playing it, but because Chains of Mephitis is in the deck, that already kind of interacts with Bloodrush Bellows. Um, you can still play Balance of Justice, and it does get mileage. Just depends on what your local meta is looking like. If you've got hundreds of KOs running around, then Balance of Justice might be better than Crown of Providence.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And then you've got your two. So you've got your left hand is the flail, or the right hand, either or. And then in the other hand, you have got the Scepter of Pain or the Grimoire of the Horn. So we'll start with
a book or a stick. It's
book or
great.
a stick. Which let's talk book. When is book?
Book.
Yeah.
Book AB1 Wizard. Yeah. The effect to create an Eloquence token can be relevant for Funeral Moon trickery.
Yeah.
And Read the Runes trickery.
Yeah.
You can instant speed a Funeral Moon under an Eloquence trigger.
Yeah.
As a mini creepers to give you an action point. You can do some funny things with it that way. I generally play that into when I'm being more aggressive. Sometimes, or just when I'm being more aggressive, or I don't think I'll be holding a card to pitch to play for Scepter.
Right.
Scepter comes in for those bigger, bulkier heroes when you have to just banish a card, maybe pitch to grasp, and then you have 2 floats, so you go, right, Sceptering you for 1. Sometimes they'll stop it, which means they don't have a card. Sometimes they'll take a damage, you get a rune chance, so you're up a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fair. And that's the deck. I mean, it's a long one. And I do appreciate the time.
It is really, really wordy when it comes to Vynsset. A lot of the things have multiple use cases. And I could ramble on about all of them for a lot longer.
Yeah.
She's great. She's fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go check out the deck link below. I'll also put your Twitter in the description as well. So any more that you want to discuss with Owen, go there. There's also the VYNNSET Battle Discord that you also live in as well. So if there's some more context you want to put into stuff and you want to delve into the VYNNSET cult that is there, they're all... There's so many different things you could do with this, but I'm just loving that this is the one that won an RTN. Go take it, try it out, and that's it. Is there any sort of sign-offs you want to do before we go?
No, just the VYNNSET community in the purple Discord, really good. I kind of just stumbled in there after Briar went to Living Legend, and a lot of people came with it, and we just all kind of started sitting in there and murmuring about rune chants, and it's been fun.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.
Bye.